and about the migrant labor and all this happening, all of them need not necessarily come back to city if you ask me. I've been talking to business groups and entrepreneurs around the world. Yesterday we had an event with Thai, today with a news channel. So this is something I'm constantly trying to put this across. We've been doing this for over 15, 20 years. Many people are listening. Little bit of action has happened, but not enough action has happened. The simple thing is just this. The statistics says some 72% of the world's investment is just in some 31 or 32 cities or 36 cities, I think. When 72% of the world's wealth is centered in just a few cities, why will people not move there? Naturally they will move there. It's estimated in the next 10 years, before this virus it was estimated that in 10 years' time about 1.6 billion people will migrate in the world. I want you to imagine the horrors of that. 1.6 billion people dragging their women and children and picking up their stuff, leaving places where they've lived for generations, for hundreds of years, and going to another place. The atrocities that they go through is unbelievable. In India, it was estimated 220 million people will move from rural India to urban India. Well, those of you who are living in cities, I want you to imagine, let's say 10 cities in India, 220 million people, even if you distribute evenly, which will not happen, you can imagine the plight of those cities. So one significant thing that needs to happen is investments must spread. This whole Manchester style of building industry, because that's where this mass production system started and they brought it everywhere, everything has to be done in one place, everybody come to one place and work. This has to go. Right now a whole lot of people are talking about working from home and stuff like this, but this is only relevant to a certain band of people who do certain type of work. But for others, they have to go somewhere. But that somewhere need not necessarily be concentrated in one city, it needs to spread. If we do not focus on this, that across the 700 and odd districts in the country, if you do not spread industry, even if it's little difficult to begin with, if we do not do that, the migration will go crazy. Another thing is agroforestry. Agroforestry is a sure way of stopping migration, because one reason why migrants move is whenever there is a drought in agricultural lands, it happens every 5, 6 years or 8 years, there'll be one big drought. When that happens, waves of migrations will happen. People will leave their land and go to the city and they'll never come back. If you had long-term crops in your land, if you have trees standing in your land, you are not going to leave your land and go away because there is money standing there. So agroforestry is one of the best ways to stop migration to the cities. If we don't do that now, our cities will become unlivable, not just in India, almost everywhere in the world. This migration, if these billion and odd people start moving and piling up in one city, nobody can live well. This idea of concentrated population is a hotbed for even a future pandemic. If the entire… we usually like to call this a global village, if it was really a village, I'm telling you, the virus would be quite helpless because it's a city. The Wuhan city itself is supposed to have 11 million population. And how many cities have over 10 million population in the world? There are too many. Why 10 million people have come to one place? Is it because they're in love with each other? I don't think so. Simply because economic opportunity is all concentrated in one place. This has to spread. If we don't spread this, not only in India, across the world, economic possibilities must spread across geography. It's very, very important. Agroforestry is a significant step in this direction.